Howdy again, it's Mr. Pete, your YouTube shop teacher, and I'm here at Studio G2. That's my old garage. I seldom take a video in here, and this is one of my anecdotes. Matter of fact, that's anecdote number 9. I'll have a playlist at the end if you're interested in this type of thing. Now, these videos actually get more attention than a machine shop video, so maybe I'll do more of them. And later on, at the end of this video, I'm going to give you a list that's sitting right here of 12 other potential topics for that, and we'll vote on that too at the end. But we're in this garage here. I just made a good pork chop sandwich on this thing on the bone. I don't like those butterflies. They don't have the flavor. But there's my foundry, all buried with debris from my buddy's house. And, well, let me switch the camera around and give you another view here. Okay, that's better. That's where I made the pork chop. It's still warm. There's my foundry furnace and molding bench and my Ford tractor and all that stuff. Now, this stuff's going to be sold in a year or two. Matter of fact, very soon. And I shouldn't say this in my anecdote, but I'm going to sell foundry sand, Petrobond sand, so get ready for that. And I'm really cleaning out that hole up there. I had so much stuff upstairs, but anyway, that's not at all what I want to talk about. I'm just warming you up here, and I'm going to switch cameras. And the title of this video, anecdote number 9, is Mr. Pete COCKS, his welding teacher, and darn near kills him. So that's a college story, but let me tell you a little bit about my college experience and my teachers before I begin that. Now, if you don't want to hear this, advance it about 2, 3, 4 minutes, something like that. First of all, let me tell you about my college experience. I went to Illinois State University as a junior. I had been to junior college, so I had a lot of that under my belt. And, there wasn't any craziness going on the campus like there is now. There weren't any demonstrations. People went there to learn. It was a very calm, wonderful experience for me, and I had some of the greatest teachers in our industrial arts department. Not so much on the other side of campus, and I'll tell you about 4 or 5 worthless courses, and I suppose the teachers were all right, but in my opinion they were worthless courses. One was sociology, educational psychology, which had nothing whatsoever to do with education. It was worthless. Economics was worthless. All he talked about was the marginal propensity to consume, whatever the heck that is, and another philosophy, and philosophy of education. Absolutely a waste of time. I think they're just filling in space. I'd have been better off with the classes in our department. In fact, I was. But I want to talk real briefly, and this centers around a welder. That's why I'm sitting in front of this welder and this old wagon, and you'll see why in a minute. But anyway, my favorite professor was Willard J. McCarthy, and he was an author of several books, this being the one that he actually was working on while we were in class. And if you wanted to get a hold, we called him Mac. If you wanted to get a hold of Mac, you had to take about 3 steps up and go to his office, and he was writing this book. He would also be there till 1 or 2 every morning. Quite a dedicated man. He came from Wisconsin. He was an accomplished welder because he welded on submarines during WW2. So this book was lost. I discovered it, found it at my buddy's house when I was cleaning up his wood shop. He had that green lathe, but there's my name on it. No doubt this was given to me. There was a sticker here from the publishing company, McKnight, which was a local company there in Normal, probably gone now. We took a tour of it once, but anyway, they revised books. So this would originally have been Smith, and then McCarthy was the revision. Incredibly intelligent and wonderful man. He had a good sense of humor and all of that, and I'm just about done talking about him. And as I told you, Mac was funny, but not only that, but he would get so wound up in his demonstrations when we're sitting in the classroom, he would actually foam a little bit on the corner of his mouth, and spittle would fly all over on the front row. And he always carried a whistle around his neck. We didn't like that because we felt like little kids. But when he blew the whistle, you better come running. Stop, turn your machine off and get over there because he's going to tell you something. And it was always something valuable, but a fellow hated to be interrupted. All right, that's the preface now. We're already 3 or 4 minutes into the video. I know you hated it, but now I'm going to tell you how I cold cocked. I mean, this was a very embarrassing thing when it happened. I just felt like 2 cents. I considered going back to our rooming house and hanging myself. I really did. That's how badly I felt about it. But now I'm starting to see a little humor in it. And even though this is 55 years ago, I can finally talk about it. So let's get at it. Now, when we started in college in the fall of '63 in Normal, Illinois, it was a brand new building, Turner Hall. Brand new. We were the first class ever in there. And just a beautiful facility, and there was a lot of new equipment in there as well. And Mac taught welding and machine shop and metalworking. You know, he wore a lot of different hats. But anyway, I was taking the welding class, and my brother was in there, and you know, there were 20 or 24 of us probably. And there was a great big brand new welder. I don't know if it was a Lincoln or an NCG, much larger than this. And it was a combination of AC, DC, you know, I think it was a 500 amp welder or something like that. But it had tons of controls on the front, much more than this. There were meters, you know, voltmeters or amp meters, whatever it was. Just a lot of controls because it was a multi-purpose machine that, you know, would do a lot of things besides just welding. So, Mac is demonstrating this, and again, brand new welding booths. Oh, he was so fussy that he didn't want you to get any weld or spatter in these new booths, so he covered it up with the permanent table with large pieces of perhaps 3/8 steel. But that steel was so nice, he didn't want you to get anything on that either. So then there were a smaller plate on there. And at the end of every semester, we had to grind that plate down so it looked new. So he was really fussy, and I don't blame him, and I picked up a lot of it, I think, in my own teaching. Now that welder was much higher, perhaps this high off the ground, and on the front it had a handle. That's why I got Jordan and Sophia's old wagon here. They still got their name on the back. But there was a handle, but it was T-shaped at the top, not like this. And it was spring-loaded so that it always stayed in the vertical position, out of your way. And therein lied his folly. Okay, I'm going to impersonate Mac now. And remember, there's 20 or more kids around this. All guys, we didn't have any girls. So anyway, Mac's down like this. Now pretend that this is the welder, not that. So he's got this handle here, and he's trying to explain the settings and all of that, and this was in his way. And finally he's there, and he puts it down like that, and he's got his knee on it, like that, holding it down. Well, in the meantime, I'm standing right here, like this, and being the helpful one, as always, I put my foot on the spring-loaded handle. I'm holding it down for him. And he took his knee off for a while, and then he put his knee back on. I thought, well, I'm wasting my time. I pulled my foot back off at about the same time he took his knee off, and this came up and whacked him in the back of the head so hard that he was dazed. We thought he was going to pass out. And, of course, everybody's blaming me for this. As I said, everybody was blaming me, and I felt like 2 cents. I really did. And you know, I'm trying to explain, I didn't do it. You know, everybody's got an excuse, and I was just as bad. And I don't think he knew who was holding it down. So I mean, he never chewed me out, but he was so dazed. He said, "All right, boys, take your break." It was just about. It was a 2-hour class, so we always went down to the basement where they had some vending machines. So we went down there, but. Oh boy, did I get razzed by everybody. And then by the time we came back up, you know, in 10, 15 minutes, you know, he had pretty well covered, but he had a knot on the back of his head. And he was kind of laughing about it, but boy. So that's how I cold cocked my welding teacher. All right, that's the end of that story, but stick around. I got one real quick thing to tell you. Okay, here's a list of 12 potential Mr. Pete anecdotes. Now let's do this. Vote for the two that you would that are on the top of the list as far as you are concerned. That is the ones that you would like to hear the most. Just two, and do not send me and put that in the comments, but do not comment after August 1st, 2025. So that gives you a couple weeks to do that. Actually, you better make it August 15th, because this may not be on until another week or so. We're almost at the end of July right now. But number one, Mr. Pete buys a Sten gun under an alias. Now that's a college story. They're on campus along with my brother. Number two, Mr. Pete smuggles a switchblade across the Mexican border. Number three, Burl shoots a hole through Mr. Pete's bedroom wall. 4, Mr. Pete drives the getaway car after we paint the water tower. 5, Mr. Pete almost freezes to death during a January camping trip. One of the closest episodes to death that I ever experienced. Number 6, Mr. Pete plays with a stick of dynamite. Yeah, I know. 7, Mr. Pete and brother make lots of, you know what, powder over the years. That would probably be, I don't know if that'd be a good story or not. 8, Mr. Pete and Jan's huge fireworks caper, back when fireworks were still illegal in Illinois. 9, Brother Jan's hemorrhoid attack in the college rooming house. This is a hilarious one, but it's probably too bawdy to tell over YouTube. And 10, I don't think I'll ever do this. I've talked a lot about our Mississippi River boat trip, our 6-week Ulysses journey, because the slides are it's such terrible. They've lost all their color. 11, Mr. Pete's California adventure in a 54 Chevy, 3-week tour of the West, including Tijuana and the World's Fair. And finally, number 12, it's kind of funny, maybe not worth telling, when Mr. Pete flogs my friend Dwight tied to the mast. My brother was in on that as well. So vote for the top 2 in the comments that you would like me to tell. Now also stick around. At the end of the video here is a playlist of the first 8 or 9, whatever it is. I think this is number 9 right now. Anyone still with me? All right, I'll see you next time. Remember, I got 1,600 or more videos.